Hi, this is Dara from ilovepaperbeads.com, and today I'm going to be talking about how to make a hardcover book pendant. I'm going to start with some paper that I've cut into 3/4 inch by 1 inch. We're going to have paper, scrapbook paper for your outer cover, a little scrapbook paper for your inner cover, and then I also have 3 pieces of cardboard that I cut from cereal boxes. Each of those is 3/4 inches by 1 inch, and then the center spine, its width is the same thickness as the sheets of paper. Now to get started, what we're going to do is use the outer sheet of paper. We want to make sure that both of the cardboard pieces that are the front and back cover, as well as the spine, fit onto the sheet of paper. I'm going to use a little bit of glue here. It's white glue. I'm using PVA glue because it's archival, but you can use anything like Elmer's glue for this. I'm going to start off by using our paintbrush to paint a little bit of glue onto your little board, the little cardboard piece. Once again, I said that this was 3/4 inches by 1 inch. I'm going to make sure you have it coated well. Once you get enough glue on there, you're going to go ahead and put it on the piece of paper. You're going to put it to the side. You want the top and the bottom to be equal distance, so you want it to be centered from top to bottom, and then from the edge you also want about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of space. Next we're going to put in the spine. I'm going to glue on that too, and then we want to take the spine and carefully put it about 1 to 2 millimeters away from the first piece that you glued down. And then we press it down to give it good contact with the paper, and as you can see, it's now glued onto the back side of the scrapbook paper. There's about 1 to 2 millimeters of space there. Finally, you're going to glue the third piece. Just putting on a little bit of the white glue with the paintbrush. And you glue it down, and once again you want it 1 to 2 millimeters away from the spine. So now you see that you have all 3 pieces glued onto this piece of scrapbook paper. There's about 1/4 inch margin all the way around, 1/4 inch space all the way around. The next thing we're going to do is cut off the corners. Now I'm cutting the corners, but I'm leaving about 1 millimeter space between left over from where I cut it. And the corner of the cardboard. And you cut off all 4 corners. Now, what I'm going to do is we're going to glue the edges of the paper so that it folds over the cardboard. So first I apply a little bit of glue here. I start folding it over, and then I press that down. I want a nice neat edge. As you can see, I go ahead and I'm going to apply a little bit more glue here. And what I'm doing is I'm actually pressing down to the table and bending it up so that it makes a nice turn over the edge of the cardboard. This way you'll have a nice neat end. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that everything's totally folded down. I'm using my fingernail here just to make sure that everything is bent down nice and flat from those side corners, or the side edges. I'm using my fingernail just to make sure that everything is bending, because it's going to actually go a little bit, it's going to overlap a little bit over the edge of the cardboard right there. Now the long edge, I'm applying a little bit more glue. And just like I did before, I'm going to bend it up so that you get a nice sharp edge, or a clean edge, and I'm bending it down. And I went ahead and just did the other edge, just to save time. And now you see you have a spine and the front and the back of the book, of the covers. You can even bend it. You see you've got this little folder here. So what I'm going to do next is I've got the smaller piece of scrapbook paper, and I'm going to center that and glue it right into the middle. And this is the inside cover of the book. So I apply a little bit of glue. I'm going to spare you watching me apply glue to the whole piece of paper, but you want to make sure that you have a good amount, or you have good coverage of the paper. Go ahead, and we're going to center it. Make sure it's centered, and glue this down to make the inside of the cover of your book. Everything's nice and centered around. I'm wipe off my hands real quick, and then just glue everything down. Now, if we were doing this and we had a little bit more time, at this point in time, I would put a weight on top of it and I'd let it dry. But it's okay to go on with it. It's just if you put a weight on top of it, you'd get much better adhesion. But right now, this is fine. I'm just kind of rubbing it and making sure that it stays stuck. Now what I want to do, because this is going to be a pendant, I need to put a hole in here. And here's my little hole punch. I'm not quite sure what the diameter is. I think it's about 1 millimeter. You could also use a sewing needle or to make your hole, but I find it easy to use the little hole punch, and I got this at a craft store. As you can see, I've centered it in the very middle, and I've punched a hole. Right now, I'm going to use a jump ring, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the jump ring through, and actually I went ahead and did it. You'd use pliers to go ahead and put a jump ring through the hole and close the jump ring up. Now I've got my paper, and I want to make sure that everything's nice and neat and straight on the end of the paper. It's being held right now with a binder clamp. You want to make sure that it's nice and straight on the end that you're going to be gluing into the book. This is also, by the way, what's called perfect binding. Perfect binding is when the pages of a book are glued in. You see it a lot with soft cover novels. Alright, so see, it fits right in there. And what I'm going to do now is put some glue on the end of these pages. And there's about, okay, these little pages that are going in the book, they're all 3/4 inches by 1 inch. And there's about around 30 of them here being held together with the clamp. The clamp makes it so much easier to hold and control it, so you want to keep it clamped while you're working with it. See, I put on a good amount of glue, and you want to make sure you have a good amount of glue on here because you want it to stick to the back of the book. I'm going to center it up at the top and the bottom and put the paper into the book. Now, I'm going to carefully release the clamp. And what I want to do is push those pages back against the spine. I want to make sure that we have good adhesion with the glue. I'm going to keep pushing it back a little bit. Make sure it's all those pages are going to stick in there. And then I'm going to put the clamp back on so it holds the book closed. Making sure everything's nice and even. And what I'm going to do now is let it dry. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. Just let it dry for several hours. In fact, it's best if you let it dry overnight. Okay, so we're back with the book, and it's dried. And as you can see, you can open it up. You can, open it up, see the pages, see the front and the back. It looks just like a little book. And there you go. There's your pendant.